You can certainly see why states would want to collect internet sales tax that customers owe but don't pay.
It's about $23 billion in uncollected taxes, and that's taxes that are due that aren't collected.
Stephen DeMora represents free market advocates who like a plan requiring companies that make more than $1 million online to collect sales tax for every transaction. They claim it would level the playing field with brick and mortar businesses that already collect sales tax. DeMora says this Marketplace Fairness Act, as it's called, would also stop tax dodging.
This is a tax that is already owed by every consumer and person that purchases something on the internet.
About 93% of people either don't know about it or just choose not to obey this requirement when they fill out their state tax forms.
They are supposed to remit this tax to their state. Of course, most people don't do this.
So if this plan becomes law, these online businesses would collect sales tax from every customer, no matter what state is involved in the transaction.
The horribly ill-named Marketplace Fairness Act.
Yeah. Opponents like Bartlett Cleland say the act is not fair or even constitutional.
The legislation empowers a state of Texas, to reach across into Louisiana and tax people in Louisiana. This is exactly what was happening in the Articles of Confederation. Anyone who remembers our history remembers we quickly said, oh, this is bad. We've got states looting other states. We had states actually printing their own money to try to drive other states out of business.
Critics complain it's a resurrection of taxation without representation. State politicians could tax the residents of other states, people who can't vote them from office. Terry Alpert takes this all very personally. Her Connecticut web company, Uno alla Volta, connects art lovers with artisans all over the world. It's a small business she says would likely go under if the Marketplace Fairness Act becomes law.
My main objection is not, in principle, collecting tax for the states, but the actual complexity. If it isn't simplified such that we can actually do it, I don't know how we can stay in business. It's that simple.
One study estimates it would cost companies more than $20,000 in the first year just to comply because the new law will be so complex. Imagine trying to keep up with all the different tax rates and requirements of the nation's 9,600 taxing districts across 50 very different states.
I could be audited by any of these states. They could create laws that are discriminatory to out-of-state sellers.
That's why Alpert and other business owners have organized to lobby against the act as it moves its way through Congress. But DeMora says no one should worry because the law will force states to simplify the process of complying with the Marketplace Fairness Act. And he says top economist Arthur Laffer, who sold the Reagan administration on supply-side economics, predicts this will actually grow the American economy.
There could be huge growth potential. He predicts 1.5 million jobs, getting us on to 3+% growth across the country.
DeMora thinks states will be able to do great things because of the e-tax.
Use that money to lower other, actually more burdensome taxes like income taxes or business taxes.
Still, the public doesn't like it, with one poll showing they oppose it 57 to 39%. And America's youngest voters are against it 73 to 27%. Alpert and her allies suspect greedy states just want new money.
The states right now are really looking, I think, for an easy fix. You know, anything that can bring in more revenue. But you don't want to wreak economic destruction in your attempt to collect every last cent.
She says if online businesses like hers have to fold, that throws scores of people out of work.
In my case, we support many small artisans all around the country and all around the world, many of whom were downsized from corporate jobs and are now making a living pursuing their passions, making art.
And so she jokes the Marketplace Fairness Act is a very deceptive name.
I kind of think of it as, you know, calling something the Apple Pie and Motherhood Act, when you might want to poison people and take their children away from them.
The Senate has already passed the Marketplace Fairness Act. The House will likely take it up in the months ahead. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.